Dan Rose,
Oh, thank you.
you're very welcome.
It seems like what's happening is there's just too much traffic there on Randall Road. And the traffic gets always busy because certain times of the day, people are getting onto Randall going west. I'm sorry, going east, or at the end of the day, they're coming back from the east going west, right?
Right.
And then the whole day, it's like it's just busy, busy, busy. But what happens is there's so much traffic, and it seems like you're trying to make more lanes to accommodate that traffic. But there is a bunch of us that really don't even use I-90. We just go ahead on Randall. And I was wondering, is there any way to consider, I think you called it a poll, um, it's a poll card, which is, I think, like a half of what is it called? Oh,
Parklow,
what what is it called?
Parklow,
Yes,
partial cloverleaf.
yes, 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 yes. What about one of those, just to alleviate the traffic that goes by there on Terrell Road, where people would go ahead and enter I-90 going east, and then people who are coming back are coming to go to exit west to go either north or south, but you don't have anything going west.
Right. One of the problems that we have, are you talking about something at Randall Road, or are you talking about something at one of the other streets, east or west?
One of the other streets that would alleviate, because I know people that would go on Terrell to
Hmm.
catch I-90.
Yes, Terrell.
Mhm.
Terrell, that's a perfect example.
Okay.
One of the situations we have when we're dealing with access to and from the tollway
Mhm,
is that we have to deal with the tollway.
mhm,
Um, we need to make sure that we're considering things which are good for Randall Road, but the tollway also has their own concerns. One of the problems we have is if you put ramps too close to each other on the tollway, they start having the same issue that we have on Randall Road with too many intersections.
mhm.
The difference is that those people are all going 75 miles an hour. So it is definitely something that we've talked about with the tollway, is the idea of providing access to and from Terrell, but we don't have the power to make them do it. And it's difficult. It's something that has to be coordinated with the tollway. It has to be, and another thing you keep in mind is think about Terrell.
Mhm.
It's a 2-lane road.
Right.
If we
That's how
take
they all start. That's how Randall started.
Oh, I know. And that's the issue you have is if they were to put access on Terrell, it wouldn't just mean a new ramp on Terrell, it would mean a whole widening of Terrell, a whole project to make Terrell capable of taking that capacity. Not to say that such things aren't possible,
Mhm.
but what we're trying to do is look at those things that we can control, which are to say those things within the Randall interchange or on Randall Road itself.
Mhm.
One of the comments that I saw in here was they asked us if we could provide access for Point Boulevard east to McLean,
Right.
which is a nice idea because it does take traffic away from that Point Randall intersection.
Mhm.
The problem is if we were to do that, we would need to buy and displace a business.
Right. Right.
Plus, we'd then be putting all that traffic on McLean. So
Right.
now you're putting all that traffic on a local street, on a Sleepy Hollow street, on a 2-lane Elgin collector, and then we have that same issue all over again.
You know,
There's no great solution. We're just doing the things we can control.
Matt, I get it. And what happens is if you look at the distance from Randall Road to 31, that's or right around that area there, by the time you exit out and then you go on to 31, it's almost the same difference to Terrell, because it kind of goes like a diamond from Big Timber
That's right.
to Terrell and 90.
That's right.
And so I know that if people were to go on and exit Terrell to go east on 90, right? And then they're
Right.
going to go ahead and join the people who are on 90 that most likely are going to get off it on McLean
Right,
or 31 or 25.
right.
And so, but at least it, it takes away all that from Randall, because even the way it is right now on Randall, if you go north and you hit this, where there's 3 lanes, and then all of a sudden everybody's scrambling to do 2 lanes, and that's right off an exit.
I
Okay.
know,
And
I know.
then you have combined, because you hit it right on the nose about the lights, the
Right,
lights go, okay. Then you have an emergency vehicle, right? That changes all that, because obviously there's a hospital there, you know.
right.
And so it's like, I know there's no quick
There's no
solution,
perfect solution.
because what happens, if you notice on Randall, it has the habit of having these intersections where there's curves. You look at that in South Elgin,
Right.
on Hops Road and Randall, those are like the most dangerous. Here, what happens is they build, but first of all, they build for the time, and we have it right there on Elf Road, where people are down to Madeline Road.
I
you
know.
know. And so what happens, it's people who are coming from Big Timber, cutting away from that corner, coming on Madeline onto Elf Road to get onto Randall to go on 90. That's
I
like,
don't know if this will surprise you,
mhm,
but of the people who want to go from Big Timber to that intersection between Randall and I-90,
mhm,
2/3 of them are blowing off the Big Timber intersection and using that Madeline Elf cut through.
No, I believe it. I believe it. And that's why I think that can you imagine if instead they went on Terrell, and just to
Right.
have that smooth ride, rather than, oh no, Randall Road. And that's,
I know,
and
I know,
especially when there's construction.
I know.
And so it's like, oh boy, that's yeah, I get it. It's a tough thing.
Right.
But I'm just thinking, if you add more lanes on there, what's it gonna do? It doesn't really take the traffic. The traffic's gonna be there, but it's gonna be bubbled up into these lanes that eventually, if you go through, it's gonna be more like a bottleneck. But if you go on 90, well, yeah, you alleviate that traffic, but it's just those times. It reminds you like a school bus when you go to school. Neighbors complain all the time about the traffic, but
Sure
it's
that.
only 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon, and then we're okay. But Randall isn't like that.
No, it certainly isn't.
I don't mean to hog the time or anything, but
Not
that.
at all, Rose. Not at all. I do have another question, and I want to encourage those of you who are here, if you have a question, to go ahead and type it in the chat box or raise your hand. I'm reading a question from WMR65. If the 6-lane option is selected, would a sound barrier wall be built on the east side of Randall behind the Sleepy Hollow residences? And would the additional lanes be added to the west side or to both the east and the west side? Let me take the easy one first. The widening would all be to the west. The
Mhm.
widening would all be to the west. There's no space to put it on the east. If we do anything east of Randall Road, it would be to try and fit some sort of pedestrian access in. We won't be widening to the east. Now, as far as the noise wall is concerned, did you, I don't know if you went to the environmental section where they can talk a little bit about the science of this. I can tell you about the funding and the politics. What happens with a noise wall? The thing I can tell you about a noise wall is if we go no build, if there's no project, there's no wall. If there is a project, there might be a wall. What's going to happen with the noise is we've already determined, you don't need me to tell you, and I've actually exchanged emails with another Sleepy Hollow resident on this. It's a noise. There's a noise issue. We know it. You know it. We've measured it. We understand that it reaches those levels where it's actionable. And what that means is that we'll be looking at whether a noise wall is called reasonable and feasible. How tall would it have to be? How expensive would it be? How much improvement would it provide? If it meets standards set by the state for reasonability and feasibility, then there would be a noise wall. We've already confirmed that there's an issue that's big enough that if we can fund it properly, if the money can be found for it, and if it meets those standards, then a noise wall would certainly be considered. We won't know that until future phases of the design, which are going to start later this year. That's the short answer. Maybe. Not if there's no project, but maybe if there is a project. I hope that answers your question. I've got a new message here. Okay, nope, just a reminder that if you're in the lobby, I want to encourage you to type in any questions you might have. Because I don't have any active questions to answer right now, you're welcome to raise your hand and ask them verbally. Want to remind you that we have people in the traffic. Oh, I've got a question here. And it's gone. Oh, no, here you go. Dimitri, you're active.
Hey, Matt, Dimitri from Pace Bus here.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. I kind of looked at the other rooms real briefly and touched a few questions with them. Just wanted to really quickly ask you what kind of considerations, from the transit realm were made with some of these. I only got a cursory look as you were going through the individual concepts, so I'll definitely take a deeper dive into the materials on the website, but just kind of wanted to hear a brief overview from you so I kind of know where to poke my nose more.
What I would have you go to is I would have you give a listen to the criteria creation and evaluation video, which was pre-recorded and saved on the website. It explains where we value multimodal and how we rate something for high multimodal performance. There is definitely a drive, and it will be a separate aspect of the phase 1 project to look at the optimal alignment for a multi-use path running through part or all of the corridor. Certainly, non-vehicular access to the PACE facility is central to the success of that concept. One of the things, if you listen to my whatever you want to call it for over the last 45 minutes, it's a common theme that we're looking at ways where the intersections can be designed in such a way to enhance that multimodal access. I've been out there walking around on site, and I've seen how difficult it is to walk in the Randall Road corridor. It's a challenge. It's a safety challenge. So it's definitely something we want to look at in terms of providing that access. And impact to the PACE facility was pretty darn close to a fatal flaw as far as we are concerned. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I'm just definitely looking through, some of our routes through that area go into some of these, office parks and, business facilities, Advocate Sherman, San Filipino, we're on Technology, Northwest, Auto Mall, so we make turns onto a lot of these areas. So, just being able to look at which concepts will kind of require us to think about maybe rerouting our operations through that area as well.
I think my primary focus as far as you guys are concerned was in access to and from the PACE facility. I was pretty happy with the way that ridership was tracking at the facility pre-COVID. So we definitely focused more on that than on anything else, but you do raise a valid point that I'm not sure we dealt with as adequately as we could have in this feasibility phase. I think that everything we're seriously considering at this point is going to make it easier for you to provide bus service. But certainly if you want to make sure that you reach out directly to Mr. Zakozik or myself, we'll correspond with you a little more actively on things that we can do to help.
Cool. Thanks for the follow-up. I appreciate it.
WMR 65 wanted to know if additional drainage will be added. Drainage is something I worry about. One of the things that we did as part of the feasibility study, which obviously is now what we call a PEL, is we looked at the capacity of the basins that, as you know, are sprinkled throughout the corridor from north to south. Our assessment of the basins is that there's adequate capacity there to accommodate just about any pavement concept that we might seriously countenance. For that reason, we're pretty sure there won't be any really expensive drainage infrastructure that we have to worry about. We do need to make sure that there are some areas of local conveyance and some areas of local concern that will be addressed. What we were looking at this point is order of magnitude impacts, the need to construct a large storm sewer or the need to construct a new basin. We're not seeing that with any of the new impervious areas we're adding to the concept. So the short answer to your question is it's unlikely that we'll need to do much in the major level drainage work. There will certainly be new storm sewers, probably be new curbs, efforts made to fix localized problems, but we're not seeing a corridor-wide system issue that needs our attention. Next question I have written. I have a question about the effect this project would have on Saddle Club Estates entrance. Would the entrance signage for the Village of Sleepy Hollow and Saddle Club Estates be able to stay, or would there not be room for them? There would still be room for them. I don't see us finding a need to tear out those signs. At the very worst, if those signs were impacted, they would be relocated in kind. I can't foresee any geometric thing we would do. And by geometry, I just mean the shape of the road. I can't imagine any geometric thing we would do which would make it necessary to remove it and not provide space to replace it. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Hey, Matt, one more quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Comments, when would you like them by? Is there a deadline for that, just so I can make note of it?
Absolutely. There is an official 30-day comment period, but I'm never going to refuse to correspond with somebody just because it happens to fall in mid-March as opposed to early March. The official record for comments for this particular public meeting are accepted and made part of the formal record through March 5.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, just to get that on our calendars.
Not to put anybody on the spot here, but if you've got a couple of questions, there aren't a ton of people watching you, and I'm more than happy to answer them. Just raise your hand or type it into the box.